Excellent. So hello everyone, welcome to this session on ChatGPT. Now ChatGPT is a new area for all of us consultants and trainers. Um, if you ask me to do a training on Excel, Power BI, data analytics, data visualization, that is easy because we have been working on those tools for so many years, right? ChatGPT is interesting because I didn't even plan to become a ChatGPT consultant or a trainer. So one is that I'm using it in a personal capacity for my own work, but then a lot of client requirements have started to come in. At the moment, most clients are interested learning about the capabilities. Now, if you are wondering, but Havish, why do we need to learn it from someone? Like it's just a simple tool, right? Like why can't we just learn it ourselves? Of course you can, but then by that logic, the same applies to everything. It applies to Excel, Power BI, for that matter, learning Python. You have all the content that you ever want on the internet freely available, but you still need a system, right? Now, while ChatGPT is made in a way that it's so easy to use, and when you go on LinkedIn, you will find all these posts that tell you that these are the 50 best prompts, the only 3 ChatGPT tips you ever need. I'm sure you will agree that if you want to be better than average, if you want to know more than others, then there has to be something extraordinary that you do. You can't just do the same ChatGPT prompts that everybody else does. So very quickly, some of you might already know me. I can see a few familiar names. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Havish Madhupati. I run a firm called Havish M Consulting. This is a corporate deck that I have been updating over the last few days. So it's not going to be very polished. So please excuse me for that. So we are an analytics firm. We work across a tech stack that includes Excel, Power BI, Tableau. We also do data storytelling on PowerPoint and some bit of data science. The core of our work is business intelligence, but some part of what we do also involves some programming in it. I'll be completing 5 years in February 2024. We are a member of NASSCOM. Havish Consulting is a Microsoft partner. So what we broadly do is solution creation. A client comes up with a problem, we create a solution for them. And we work across functions, across industries. We do employee training, just like this one, anywhere from a 2-hour to a 50 hours workshop for different clients. That is what we do. We upskill employees across multiple levels. And also business use case development. That is more the consulting part, where we are not just teaching people, but we're also enabling solutions for the clients that they can reuse over and over again. Talha joined me in June this year. He was my intern in 2020, and he has joined me as a full-time consultant now. Of course, we have worked with a wide variety of clients. At the moment, I'm working very closely with Renew Power, with Diageo, with Adverb, with the Landmark Group, with the DS Group, with National Stock Exchange, Bharat Petroleum, National Skill Development Council, NABARD, D Shaw, and Clicks. These are the clients with whom I've worked over the last 5, in fact, a little more than that, a number of years. But actively, we are working with about 7-8 clients at the moment. This is not important for the purpose of today's session. But what we do broadly is we improve existing business models. We write better formulas for clients. We create complex formulas for clients that could be done on Excel, dynamic arrays, Power Query, DAX, or maybe something on Python. We also help clients create relation models with the data set that they get. So generally, we work with large companies. So the data comes from SAP or from Salesforce. So our job is to take all those disparate data sets and connect them. There's a lot of VBA automation that we do on Excel. So the user form that you see on the right side. And then, of course, we create the architecture behind it and then the dashboard. Dashboards is the end product. So honestly, that is not what I'm most excited about. For us, what is more important is to understand the client problem and then create a solution for it. We help through the end-to-end journey. So descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. These are some projects that we have done for clients. So in HR, we've done a lot of work in talent performance management. In finance, we've done a lot of consolidation work in financial planning and analysis. And then, like I said, I'm still updating the corporate deck, so I won't take you through it, but I work as a faculty with multiple B schools. So I'm a visiting faculty at IIM Kozhikode, Shriram College of Commerce, IMT Ghaziabad Masters Union, whom I joined very recently. I've done workshops for 17 of the IIMs, the top 8 IITs as well. So that gives you a little bit of idea of who I am. I'm sure you want to know what exactly do I do when I say that I'm a data analytics consultant. So I hope that gives you some idea. Now I'm going to start with the session right away. I will come back and cover a little bit of the background in terms of what is OpenAI, what is the Microsoft relationship with OpenAI, how is Copilot different from ChatGPT, which Microsoft products have AI in them. This is the theoretical part, so I'll go through this a little later, right? I'll jump straight to the examples because I think that is what all of you will be more excited about, right? But I promise I'll come back to this. Okay, now let's get started. See, the first most important thing that we use ChatGPT for is for summarization, which means that we are not talking about creating new content. We are talking about the data, the text that we already have with us, but being able to summarize it. For example, you have your company documents, but you want to create a one-pager summary out of it. You have 4 different market surveys that have happened with all the comments on it from the consultants, but you want to create a summary out of it. So the example I'm taking right now is this article on something to do on the economic corridor. This is on Mr. Swaminathan's website. I'm sure all of you know him from his work in Times of India. Now imagine that you have an article and I don't want to spend the time to read all of it. Now what I can do here is, with the free version of ChatGPT, you will have to copy the text. But with the paid version of ChatGPT, as you can see, so I'm working on the paid version right now. A lot of the things that I covered today will also work on the free version, but this particular example, if you want to do it on the free version, which is 3.5, you will have to copy paste the text. But in the paid version, which is GPT-4, all I have to do is I have to come back. I have to copy the link that you see here, Control C, and I do a Control V, as simple as that. Now, what it does is that the moment I give it a link, right, and I press enter, the latest ChatGPT-4 is a multimodal engine, which means that GPT-4 can use DALL-E, it can do browsing, and it can do analysis. So whatever the free version can do, which is create an outline, create an email, it can do that. But in addition to that, it can do 3 other things. DALL-E is the image creation tool, similar to Midjourney. Browsing is what we are doing right now. It has the ability of reading the text written on a website. And analysis is the data analysis part, which uses Python if you want to work in data science and data analytics. I'll show you all those things. Now, if you notice, what it does is, this is beautiful, right? I don't even have to go to the website. I can just give it a link. And what it does is, it basically gives me these headings. Now, if I go back and see the article, you will notice that in the article, these headings were not there, right? So where it says lack of cost information, it's not a heading that is mentioned in the article. So I'm actually able to create those headings automatically. But there are other ways of summarizing it as well. So if I just say, show the headings from the article. So I can just come back and say, show the headings from the article on the link that I provided. So once more, it is using Bing search to read the text that is on that web page. And what it is now doing is, as you can see, it just gives you sort of a summary, but not the headings, right? So I'm going to specify one more time. I want to know the headings from the article. Now see, the problem is that when I said I want the headings, it tells me that it could not find any distinct section headings, right? Now it's telling us, don't just be worried that, hey, it's not giving us the answer we want. So it's saying that the headings visible on the page are mainly a part of the website's main menu. But it isn't there, right? So I'm going to tell it, create logical headings for me. So now we're instructing it not just to scrape the data from the website, but then tell me what are the important headings that are being spoken about in that article. And that is exactly what it does. Now, imagine how much of an impact this can have on the research area. You talk about research in any area. Let's pick marketing as an example. Now, when I have to research hundreds of articles, hundreds of press releases and product demos, imagine how much help this can be. I can just provide it a list of links, and it has the ability of just giving me the headings. And then I can create a summary. And if I want to read more about it, I can always do that, right? So if I say summarize in 3 points, we can specify the number. So now it only summarizes what has been mentioned in the article in exactly 3 points, as I asked for. Of course, there are many other ways you can do it. Now, something I use personally is this one. So I say that create 2 columns. In one column, I want ChatGPT to tell me why it supports the viewpoint of the author. And in the other one, it's like a debate, right? Like one person takes the for and the other person takes the against. So I'm able to do some critical thinking. So tomorrow when I am sitting with my client, I'm already prepared what are the type of questions my client can ask me. So I'm not just preparing, what I feel the client will ask. I'm actually putting myself in a position where I feel that, can I prepare myself for a tough conversation? What if my client asks me certain questions which are not easy to answer? So that is how you can see here that it is now telling me summarize in 3 point. And just to close this example, if I say create 2 columns, one tells me why it supports the viewpoint, the other is the contradiction. It says that these are the reasons that what the author has mentioned, we don't support it. Just taking an example, it says innovation and long-term benefit, but we are saying here that if you look at this part, focuses on immediate economic challenges, possibly overlooking the long-term strategic and economic benefit, right? And of course, you can do FAQs and MCQs. So I won't show that example. That's the easy part. One more useful thing we can do is to extract the keywords from the article. So imagine you have a very long article and you just want to understand what are the essential points that have been mentioned in it. Those are the headings. But maybe you just want to know what are the keywords so that you can use these keywords when you're creating some content on your own. Headings have their own advantage. The keywords have their own advantage, right? Like this. Now with GPT-4, you can even do this with a PDF, right? So that means that if I open up an article by BCG, let's say I go to BCG and I search for a PDF on any area, let's say on CPG, consumer packaged goods. Look at this. You can either give the URL directly. We saw that it can do that. I can also download it, keep it in my downloads folder, come back to GPT-4, and then I can just upload a document. And then from my downloads, we select BCG, right? And the first thing I'll do is I will ask OpenAI, ChatGPT, what is this? Imagine it's a PDF that has been sent to you by someone and you have never read it. You don't even know what is the content in it. So what we're doing now is that we're asking it to first tell us what is in the PDF. And as you can see, it says that it's a document titled so-and-so written by these people. By default, it tells us what are the key points that are in the document. Just so cool, right? Think about it. If I go back, I have to read the entire thing, right? But here, it's just giving me the key points that come like this. And this is a chatbot, so you can have a conversation with it. So I can say what has been mentioned with regard to a certain term. For example, do you see here it says that Demand forecasting for existing and new products by SKU and region. Let's take a different point. Let's talk about, okay, look at this, barriers to scaling up. Now, if I just come back and say, what does the article say about barriers to scaling up? How brilliant is that, right? It actually tells you that this part of that document where it talks about the barrier to scaling up is lack of executive support, poor data governance, fragmented teams and siloed effort, impact on job and workflow. And as you can see, that's exactly what it talks about. Look here, right? If you read this part, that is exactly what it talks about. You can even do this with an image for that matter. So there are many times where you're dealing with an image. So I can just take a screenshot of an image, come back, and on a new chat, I can just paste the screenshot and say, describe it. And as you can see, it's not just extracting the text. That is the OCR part. Of course, it is doing the OCR part that it can extract the text for you. But more importantly, what it tells you is almost like a person telling you what is in it. It's not just saying this is the text from that image. It's telling you what does the entire slide deck, the slide from that presentation talk about, right? Brilliant, right? I mean, look at possibilities. So once an organization is able to use OpenAI API, imagine you have 1,000 documents with you. You can upload all of it, and then you can create your own personal internal ChatGPT. So there is a company called Humata, which exactly allows us to do it. What Humata does is it allows you to upload all of the documents that you have. It could be Excel file, PDFs, Word document, PowerPoints, and then it becomes like an internal chatbot for you. All the company data that you have in a private ecosystem is uploaded. So I can go and say that what was that campaign that we ran 5 years back? What were the learnings from that? Or what was the amount of money I spent on my payroll 2 years back? So you are uploading all of your organization document. Now, what companies are doing is that they are creating their own internal GPTs. For example, McKinsey has created something called Lily. Now, that is internal to them. Thousands of documents that they have worked on in their consulting career has been uploaded. So the model is trained on their document, which means that I, as a McKinsey employee, can now just go and ask a question, and essentially it's like my own library available, right? They had this even before. So earlier there used to be something called PDNet, right? So I'm not sure how I can find it, but PDNet basically used to be an electronic database, which means that any McKinsey engagement manager or associate, if you want to look at the massive amount of knowledge that they have gathered over the years, you could refer to PDNet. But that was just a simple electronic database, right? Like scan documents and all of that. But now I can literally say that, could you tell me the 3 key learnings from the project that I've done for Coca-Cola in 2019, for Pepsi in 2020, and for AirAsia in 2021? So it will actually read those 3 documents, summarize it for me, and create one single cohesive document for me. So, imagine the possibilities where your own internal data can be used to train how ChatGPT works, right? Okay, I'm going to take a small pause now, ask you if you have any questions, then we'll continue. I think the unmuting is already opened up for you. So, yeah, please, I can see there are 20 of you. Any of you have any questions? Please let me know.
Hi, Havish.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, very much.
Right now you have given the example of Humata. So,
Yeah.
how is secured income in terms of like uh,
I honestly will not talk about that. A couple of reasons why. See, one thing is that each platform will have their own documentation and privacy guidelines and terms and condition. So unless I do some hardcore research into it, I won't be able to tell you. That's one reason. The other is that really isn't my area. So when I work as a consultant with my clients, the security, privacy, administrative part of it is handled by their IT teams. I neither have the knowledge nor the interest about those areas, right? So it's not that I'm choosing not to answer, but honestly, I wouldn't be the right person to talk about it, because generally every organization will have their own guideline. To give you an example, there are some companies who have absolutely blocked ChatGPT. Clicks Capital being one of my clients that earlier used to be G Capital. They don't use it right now. Why isn't a question I can answer. They've just decided that on their organization laptops it can't be used. People can use it in their personal capacity on their phone. There are many clients who are already using the free version. There are some clients who actively have a team of people who are using the paid version. So it really depends from organization to organization in terms of what the privacy guidelines are. As far as ChatGPT is concerned, if I go to settings and I turn off this option for chat history, if you turn it off, then any subsequent chat that you're engaging ChatGPT with will not use your chat to train its model if you turn it off. If you don't turn it off, then you're letting it train its model on the data that you're uploading, the questions that you are asking. Then there is ChatGPT for enterprise. Let me just show you on my PowerPoint itself, right? So ChatGPT for enterprise is an API, and this clearly says that um, there is also something called zero data retention. So under certain circumstances, if you are able to have that association with OpenAI, nothing that an organization is asking will be used or saved in any case, right? Unless you explicitly opt in, unless the organization says that we want to use our data to train its model, unless you do that, you're opted out. That means that your data will not be done. But this is not applicable on non-API consumers. So even ChatGPT or ChatGPT Plus will not have this feature. So it's a bit of a gray area, but even though on their website they have clearly stated that ChatGPT is an isolated, stateless environment, it does not have access to your past conversation or user information unless and until you decide to turn on the option that you see here, right? I mean, I'll sort of pause my answer at that point. That much I'm happy to share with you. But anything more detailed or more specific than that, I think it would be better if you maybe go to a forum or have somebody with an experience in this area capable of answering that.
Thank you.
Hey Havish, Saurabh this side.
Yes.
Since the model is not trained on real-time data, so at times when we ask it to uh, write articles, say on a particular topic, it may give outdated information, right?
No, I want to answer that. So, see, first thing is that now it has been updated uh, till April 2023, not September 2021. That's on the, I'm not sure if it's on the free version or not, but at least on the version that I have, um, it's updated till April 2023. A couple of days back, there was a conference where Sam Altman is you can see here, April 2023. Sam Altman has very clearly stated that going forward, they will not have that much of a lag, right? So generally, ChatGPT will be trained. Um, I can't give you a number, but as per what they have said, it will be quite recent, right? As it is, you're not using ChatGPT for factual information. So I'm not going to ask it to tell me what is the stock price, right? Like that is not the real reason why ChatGPT is being used. Like that is better off if you do on a Bloomberg terminal. But in any case, with the paid version, remember we do have browsing capability. So if I say that when was the latest Tata Safari launched, see, it can still do that because even though it has not been trained on it since the Tata Safari was only launched a month back, because it has the capability of searching for stuff online, you can see that after it searches a few of the websites, it is now able to tell me that it has been launched on October 17 with citations. So, to answer your question, that problem isn't really there. A, because I'm not using ChatGPT any which way for factual information. B, If I want to update it with some content on which it is not trained, I can always upload that content. I can upload the PDF or the Excel or the CSV file and see it does have browsing capability. So even if if the model is not trained, it can still do a live Bing search, read the content, update its own model, and then give you a response. Right? Okay. Now, showing you something else, I want to talk about something where we are using ChatGPT extensively, which is on creating surveys. Now, survey, we generally think of an employee survey, of a customer survey, right? A customer satisfaction survey, which is in terms of, do you like the product? Would you likely recommend the product to someone else? Things like that. In my line of work, since I do a lot of consulting work in human resources, there is a lot of employee pulse survey that we do, which is basically an employee is an internal customer, right? So you want to understand if the employees are they happy with their bosses, with the work environment, with their peers, things like that. So this is the prompt that I've given. Design a comprehensive employee pulse survey. It should include questions aimed at gauging employee satisfaction, engagement, communication, and so on and so forth. And I also want recommendation on how to administer the survey, effectively analyze the result, and use the data. So this is a multi-part example. So first I'm going to give it this prompt. And as you can see, it creates a beautiful survey for me. Employee satisfaction, employee engagement, right? And then basically all the headings that I have given, it is able to do that. Pretty cool, right? Now, what if you want to create some synthetic data? So before you administer the actual survey, you want to just create a sample data set so that you can do some analysis, show it to the client, so that before you roll it out, you're able to test it. Now, generally, what do? We do a pilot. We do it with 20 people before rolling it out to the rest of the organization. But what I can do here is, check this out. I can actually copy this entire set of questions, and then using GPT-4, I can say, this is my questionnaire. Create a data set using the questions mentioned. I want sample 1000 rows. How cool is that? So we said that, hey, this is our questionnaire. I want to create a data set using the questions that have been mentioned in that questionnaire. And I want to create 1000 sample values. So ChatGPT is now going to use Python, which is the advanced data analysis part. So it automatically assigns a random value to each of these. So first it figures out which one of these are text-based and numerical. For example, employee ID is actually not a number. Even though it looks like a number, it's an identifier. All the others are numerical. But if you look at the last two, the likes and the suggestions are open-ended text questions. So you notice that it is now actually writing the Python code. I'll show you how that works. Check this out. How brilliant is that? So when we talk about no code, a no code platform means that a user can use the capability of programming without having to write a single line of code. This is exactly that. Check this out. I don't have to bother at all with what the code is. I don't have to modify anything, copy paste anything. As you can see, it is now creating a sample data set for me. So it is asking me, would you like to download it as a CSV or an Excel? I'm going to tell it that I want a CSV file. It again generates the required Python code, and I can simply click. The file is downloaded, and if I open it, brilliant, right? Check this out. You have the questions, and you have the sample data. How cool is that? And of course, you can give it more detailed prompts in terms of what are the questions, what type of responses do you want, things like that. You can even upload your own data set, ask it to first understand your data, and then create a relevant data set for you. And if you click on this icon, you can actually see the Python code that has been generated to essentially save the sample data as a CSV file. And just to wrap up this example, once I have a data set, I can also analyze it using advanced data analysis. So I can upload, right? So far, I've shown you how to upload a PDF. We can also do a PowerPoint, a Word document, by the way. I've shown you the PDF and the image, but other types of files can also be uploaded. As a matter of fact, even a zipped folder. So imagine you have a zipped folder with multiple files in it, and you don't know how the files are related to each other. ChatGPT can do that in one single chat prompt. So for the moment, I will be selecting one of the Excel files that I use for my training. So on Power BI, I have, many of you would be familiar with this data set. It's called the Global Superstore Orders dataset. It's a publicly available fictitious dataset about a company that is selling multiple products around the world. This dataset is very popular because on every version of Tableau, this dataset is inbuilt in it. That's why this is one of the first datasets that anybody who wants to get into data science or data analytics, they always work on this dataset. So the first thing I'll do is I'll say describe the data. Like before I do any analysis, of course, I would want to know what is in the data set, isn't it? So I've just used one word saying describe. And what it does is, right, as you can see, I can now say what columns do we have? So it actually writes the entire Python code. Is first reading the file using pandas, so that's pd.read, is displaying the column name, which is data.columns.toList. Let it complete first. How cool is that? So it actually creates a list of all the columns that we have. Now I want to tell it what type of analysis would I want to do. So I'm going to tell it that I want to create a line chart, right? Order year and order quarter and sales. Sales by order year and order quarter. I want one line for each business segment. So we instructed to it that I want to create a line chart. I want to see the sales by the order year and the order quarter. So that's the level of grouping. And I would also like to get one line for each business segment. There are three business segments we have: the consumer, the corporate, and the home office segment. So as you can see here, it again writes the Python code real time. So it's not a black box that it's just doing something without you realizing how it is doing it. It is actually doing it live in front of you. And then PLT is basically matplotlib. And as you can see, it creates the final output for you. Was there some error? Okay, hold on. Just doing it one more time. How cool is that? As you can see, it creates a line chart for you, three lines for the three different business segments we have, grouped at the level of order year and order quarter. Now, if I say, can you make three charts? So one for India, Germany, and let's say China. It does take a little bit of time, so you have to be a little patient. In the meantime, I also want to tell all of you who are not aware about it, even though I'm sure you must have seen it on LinkedIn. I mean, unless you're living under a stone, everybody has been putting it on LinkedIn. But as you can see, uh, Python has been introduced in Excel. So under the formulas tab, you can see that now we can run Python within Excel. So to the point of Havish, but why are you talking about programming? Like I'm a product manager. Like why would I learn programming or need to learn it? You have to. I mean, that is the world we live in. Can you imagine telling someone that you don't like or know how to make good slides in PowerPoint? Of course not, right? Whatever your line of work, whether you're a student or a working professional, of course you have to know how to make a good presentation. Why is that? Because that's the bread and butter, right? You have to learn how to communicate well. Similarly, my take as an individual is that learning to code is not a skill. It's an essential skill, right? All of you have to know it. Now, even Excel has programming in it. All these wonderful tools are there that enable you to become a programmer in such an easy manner, right? Like Python code can actually be, or for that matter, any code can be written in ChatGPT directly. Now is the best time to learn coding, right? And trust me, you will thank me 2 years later that I told you today to learn it and focus your energies in it. If you're thinking of it in a way that, Havish, if the tool is going to write the code, then why am I learning it? Because you have to be better than others, right? Even if both you and the other people who you're competing with know how to work on ChatGPT and write Python code, the differentiator will be who knows more of Python. Because remember, you're competing with someone tomorrow who is an HR, finance, marketing, supply chain manager who also knows programming. And let's be honest, you can't compete with a programmer. Programmers will always be faster, better, more updated. They will automate better, communicate better. It's very hard to compete with a programmer. And the same applies to me. I'm a graduate in BBA and an MBA. So commerce student, no IT. I self-taught myself coding in 2015. So I've only been coding for the last 8 years. So I understand how it feels to start from a point where you feel, Havish, I've never done any programming before. So what? Who cares? You either know it or you don't know it. I'm not forcing you to learn it. I mean, I have no ulterior motive, right? Like, why would I tell you to do it other than knowing how important it is and how much it will help you? But as you can see, now it's actually creating the three charts for you. And you can also see the code that it is written to be able to create all of this. Okay, a small pause one more time if you have any questions, anyone, before we continue. I know there's a lot of information being thrown at you, but that is sort of the point of this session, that at least you are exposed to what all other capabilities of ChatGPT. And this is what I'm teaching to all my corporate clients as well. All good? Okay. Let's quickly look at the image generation part. The quality of responses, Chinmay, very hard to comment on that, to be honest, because like I haven't done a like-to-like comparison. Of course, they are different. Like the little bit of um, opportunity I've had to compare it like to like, yes, it's better. But I haven't like done a lot of research on it. Haven't had the time to do it, to be very honest, because no client has asked for it. Right now, we are at a stage which is very early. I'm sure this question will get asked later, and I will need to have a better answer to it. But yeah, as of today, I honestly haven't done any research on that. Ganesh, how did I activate Python in Excel? I don't know. Uh, I'm assuming that it's only available on Microsoft 365, and you have to be on Microsoft 365, and you also need to be a Microsoft insider. That means you have to be on the beta channel. I hope you can see it on my screen right now. You have to be on Microsoft 365, and in the channel, you have to be on the beta channel. Yeah, and once you have a paid subscription to 365 and you're on the beta channel, then once you update Excel, you should get it. I'm sure if you Google it, you will find this on the website. I'm sure they must have mentioned how that works, right? All right. Showing you the DALI part, right? With DALI. Now, there are two things I can do. I can upload an image, as you can see. This is very cool. All right. Check this out. I want to take an image of let's say a Cadbury ad. No, that is not an image. Let me make sure I'm copying the image. One moment. Now, I'm going to take this old Cadbury ad and ask it to describe it. Oh, in fact, this is one of the recent ads of Cadbury. I just saw it while watching the match. So it says the image shows an advertisement featuring a Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk chocolate bar. On the left side of the image is the product, a purple wrapper with the logo, word silk. Prominently displayed is a person holding an umbrella, seemingly passing it to someone out of the frame, suggesting an act of care or love. It says the text, how far will you go for love? Indicating the message going to great lengths about someone you care about. Background is a clear blue sky with some clouds, suggesting a positive, light-hearted atmosphere. Now imagine that I, as a continuation, tell it that create an image using the previous image as a reference. Make it a night sky. I want to show multiple people holding umbrellas. The setting should be on a mountain. Create an image using the previous image as a reference. Make it a night sky. I want to show multiple people holding umbrellas, so in plural, and the setting should be on a mountain. Does take about 10 seconds, but it's pretty cool, right? It creates the image. Now, if I say that I also want to have Cadbury in it, right? So I will say that edit it. So what I'm doing is I am using the description of the image to create a prompt that I can return back to ChatGPT. Do you see how the process works? You have a reference image, you use it, you ask it to describe it, and then create a prompt on the basis of it. So as you can see, I'm taking the same prompt. I'll come back and I'll say that I want to create an image, right? This is the prompt. The only difference is it says featuring a person. I will say 5 people extending an arm upwards. Everything else remains the same. I'm going to change it to a clear night sky, not a clear night sky, a night sky dotted with stars in the background. And yeah, I think everything else can be the same. Let's see the final output. It's pretty cool, right? Of course, it does require quite a lot of trial and error to get it right, but it did do what we asked to do. And I think it did a Really good job at it. Of course, you can give it a zero-shot prompt, which means you don't use a reference image. You can just give it a prompt directly. Then this would be another way of taking an image and then giving it a prompt back. Okay. Some other ways of showing you that ChatGPT is not just about text. So even on the free version, let's say that you want to create an outline. So I want to create a slide deck for a new startup on, let's say, I don't know, something related to mobile healthcare. No. On a house shoe cleaning service in Delhi. A slide deck for a new startup on house shoe cleaning service in Delhi. So it gives it a name, it gives us the problem statement, the market opportunity, and so on and so forth, right? Now, if I go ahead and I ask it, convert this into a mark map syntax. So what the mark map does here is that it creates a very specific format for me. And then I can take this mark map syntax, and there are many websites. The one that I personally use is called markmap.js.org. And as you can see, if I put in this, it's pretty cool, right? Like your very boring linear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1.1, 1.1.1, that outline has been converted into a much better looking outline like this. So I just wanted to share with you that don't think of ChatGPT just as research and creating text and emails and all of that. Of course, it can do that really well, but it can do many other things as well. Okay, what else should I show you? I'll show you some examples on Excel, but also some free tools that are available. So there is a free plugin for Google Chrome, which is called Glasp. I'll open one of my videos. Doesn't matter which one, I'll just open one of these. So this is a podcast that I did with Ishita, who is the CHRO at Metropolis Healthcare. I did this quite a while back, so 2 years back, more than that. Now, it's a 30-minute conversation. And if you just want to find out the essence of the conversation, in the sense that what are the most important things that we spoke about, I can just go to this button called Transcript and Summary. It's a free tool called Glasp, right? This is the name, GLASP. That's it. It's a free tool. What it does is it automatically creates an entire summary of the conversation for you. At the moment, it only works in English. I can click on the ChatGPT button. It takes me to ChatGPT, and then it automatically tells me what are the 5 key points, which are the summary. As you can see, without having to listen or watch the entire conversation, imagine it's a 2.5-hour conversation, I'm still able to find out what are the 5 important things that have been mentioned. Pretty cool, right? So AI is not just about directly giving a prompt, but also using the content you already have, whether it's a PDF or a document or a number of documents or a video for that matter, and being able to get the summary out of it. Okay, image creation I've already shown you on DALL-E, but if you want to use the free version, there's a free tool called Ideogram, IDEOGRAM. There's a website called Veed. It's not free, but you have some free features available. It basically allows you to create an AI avatar. You can choose a person, choose the voice, put in the script, and it creates an AI video for you. There are many others like this. All this I've shown you. Yeah. Also trying to show you how clients are using ChatGPT. Like one thing is to learn that, okay, these are the capabilities of ChatGPT. But in case you're wondering, what do my corporate clients want to learn? And I almost always work with senior managers and above, right? So leaders and below. So this is one of the things that we cover. So we do a storytelling framework where we say that, look at this, act like an expert storyteller, specialized in marketing. I want to craft an emotionally resonant marketing campaign using the storytelling framework. I want to first begin by establishing the characters and setting the story, focusing on a customer who has faced a particular problem. use vivid details and emotional language to highlight the struggles, introduce our product service as a turning point in their journey, insert textual cues, and so on and so forth. Now I can just copy this, come back, and as you can see, I just have to plug in one parameter, which is the name of my product or service. So maybe the product that I'm offering is a shoe cleaning service. This is pretty cool, right? So it creates an entire story for you, right? And maybe I want to do this in India, so I'm just going to tell it in Delhi. So do you see what it does? Look at the story. I'm just going to read a little bit for you. In the bustling city of Delhi, amidst the chaos and dust, lived a character that we will call as Ria. Ria was a young professional who took immense pride in her appearance, and every morning she would meticulously select her outfits, carefully choose her accessories. But there was one thing that she always marred her look, which is her dirty, scuffed shoes. So imagine that I take this. By the way, this is the entire story, right? Setting the stage, highlighting the struggle, the turning point. This is, by the way, how ad campaigns are created. Now, if I can just take this text and then come back and then ask GPT-4 to create an image. This is pretty cool, right? You just gave it your problem statement with one prompt. It created the entire story for you. And now I can take that initial paragraph and then ask ChatGPT to create an image for me. Right? Let it complete first. Nitish, ChatGPT, you can just go to the website. Ganesh will share that. The paid version is about 2,000 rupees per month, right? It's a monthly subscription. So 2,000 rupees per month. Look at the image, everyone. I'm not going to comment too much on it. I mean, you can, of course, explore and experiment with it. But I think it's a pretty good image, right? What it has created. So imagine you just go part by part. Again, I'll come back. This is my next part. So I'm teaching in Masters Union, and I would also like to show you what one of my students created, right? Check this out. This is like really brilliant, all right? Look at this. I don't take any credit for it. One of my students at Masters Union made it. They created an entire campaign, a storyboard for a television commercial, TVC for Sting, which all of us know. Check this out. Frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, how brilliant is that? All of this was done using ChatGPT. Of course, not in one go. It did take a lot of, I'm assuming it did take a lot of time to make this, but like you don't even need like an ad agency or a design team to do it. Check this out. I mean, this is really, really good. Don't worry too much about the text and all, because the text is a little hard to get. If you put it in double quote, it does a better job at it. Even if it doesn't do the text properly, you can always go and put the text yourself, right? But that's really nice, isn't it? Now, if I say same image, can you replace the monument with Qutub Minar? Check this out. So I'm saying that I want the same image, but can you replace the monument with Qutub Minar? Pretty cool, right? So I just told it I want the same image. Like imagine how this is not just going to impact the marketing space, but completely throw it out of the window, right? Like all marketers, of course, have to A, upskill themselves, and B, they have to really ask themselves, what is their role? I mean, if a $20 a month subscription can do these things for you, like why do you even need, you know, your expertise, right? Okay. Next, I wanted to show you something in HR. So I'm not going to run it for you, but you can just see this. So I can say act like a vanguard of performance enhancement, create a feedback mechanism for my team, let's say my finance team, detect underlying pattern and development vectors, coaching methodology. I mean, that's it. You just have these ready-made prompts. Now, see, if you are feeling that, Havish, now that you have shared the prompt, what is there left to say? Like, we know as much as you do. How can we differentiate ourselves from others? Think about it. While first thing is that while the prompt is available to everyone, this is not my prompt. I have also taken it from LinkedIn. But the point is, I know how to use it. I know where to make the small, subtle changes, especially when it doesn't work. I know how I can modify it to make it work. And I think that is going to be the learning. That is going to be your contribution as an individual. I don't think getting prompts is going to be difficult. Over time, there'll be more prompts. In fact, there'll be so many prompts, you will not know what to do with it. You'll have thousands of prompts available. But then when you have 1 hour to make a presentation for your CEO, will you take the risk of running a prompt where the risk is it might not work properly? Or will you end up doing it manually? Now, for most people, we end up doing it manually because we are fearful that what if it doesn't work? And that is exactly where somebody like I come in. Now, just to, in case you're wondering, but Havish, why would a company hire you to teach them ChatGPT? Let me be honest with you, I had the same question. While I have been in Excel, Power BI for so many years, I've done over 1,000 trainings. When ChatGPT requirements started coming in, I was also wondering, usme kya hai? I mean, why am I required to teach it? But then I've been doing a lot of these trainings. I've even done full day workshops. And what I am really, really good at is understanding the client problem, helping them articulate it. In their mind, they know what is their problem, but they don't know how to ask the right prompt, right? Please remember, it's not about knowing the features. Today, maybe you got to know many more features. You will get to know more features tomorrow from someone else. Getting to know features is not difficult. Learning how to use it, I think, is the key. And that's something I'm very proud of, that we are learning how to use it better, right? Okay, a couple of days back, what they have also done is they have introduced this explore option, which means that now you can create custom chat GPTs. So remember when the App Store came on iOS and that was such a big deal? Must have been 2008, I think. This is considered to be as big, if not a development as that. Now, what this does is that it has custom GPTs created for a specific purpose. Let me give you an example. Now, these are all created by OpenAI. For example, there's one called, look at this, Cosmic Dream. Now, this is focused on a visionary painter of a digital wonder. Let me run it for you. So I want to create a sticker of a cat. Now, because this particular GPT is like an app, it has been trained to create an image of a certain style. What it does is, it doesn't ask me for the style. It automatically creates an image for me in the style that it has been trained on. And as you can see, you get this. Brilliant, right? Now, I have created one of my own, which is Excel Formula Assistant. I'll just share it with you as well. Copy link. I'm just putting this on the chat window. All of you can go back and try this out. So right now, there is no store, but eventually what will happen is that anybody can create their own GPT for free or paid, like an application. They can publish it on the ChatGPT store, and they can earn money from it, right? So this was announced just a couple of days back. Literally every second day, there is some big announcement happening. But as you can see, this just happened a few days back. You can create your own custom ChatGPTs, right? And Microsoft and OpenAI, of course, are working very closely on this. So this is a tool aimed at helping me with Excel. So if I say, write an Excel formula, right? So write an Excel formula to separate first, middle, and last name. Okay, Nitesh has shared something. Let me see. Yeah, Nitesh, this in fact I think happened today. So apparently there are so many people that are opting for a ChatGPT Plus that I think just earlier today they have announced that they are stopping the ChatGPT Plus subscriptions for some time. 6 hours back this happened, so you're very unlucky, unfortunately. They said that they're pausing all the new signups for Plus because of the amount of demand that is coming in. I'm not sure when it will come back to normal, but this literally happened 6 hours back. If you had tried, maybe in the morning it would have worked, but at the moment they're not accepting paid users. Like, imagine a company that is saying that we don't want your money. You can imagine how well they are doing when a company comes to you and says that don't give us your money. But I mean, it is what it is. You will have to wait for some time, read the news, and then try it one again. Yeah, it's pretty bad luck, but I'm sure it's just a matter of time. I mean, of course, this is not going to be permanent, right? So everyone, as you can see, I said write an Excel formula to separate first, middle, and last name. Do you see what it does? It says that, can you tell me how is the name structured? Are they separated by spaces? Are the names in a single column? If so, what is the column letter? Do all the names have a middle name, or do some of them have a first? And how brilliant is that? So I have created a custom GPT whose sole function is to write an Excel formula. It can't do other things. It can only focus on Excel formula. So as you can see, I'm going to tell it, my names are in cell A2 to A10, right? The format is first, middle, last name. Um, some names do not have a middle name, and then some names have multiple middle names, right? There's some noise coming. I'm just muting everyone, but you can unmute yourself if required, right? Okay, check this out. How brilliant is that? It's actually writing the formula for you like this, right? Should we check it out? So I'll come back to Excel. I will simply put in a name. What cell did I specify? Let me just check. I said A2, right? So I'll just say Amit Kumar Sharma, and I can just copy my formula. So copy and then paste. It gives us Amit. Copy, paste. It gives us Sharma. Brilliant, right? Now imagine you had Kumar Sharma. It's actually giving you both the words. And trust me, any of you who have worked on Excel, I'm sure you will agree this is not easy. Separating first and last name is okay. You can find the space, do a find, length, all of that. But when you have a middle name, and especially when you have multiple middle names, it's very tricky to do this. Now, in this case, if my name was simply Amit Sharma, right, it still works. If my name was Amit, it gives me an error. So now you can go back and tell it that there are some cases where the person doesn't even have a last name. So like that, you can train the GPT to give you a even better output, right? So I can just come back and say, this is perfect, but some names only have first name. Can you update the formulas? So what we are doing is we managed to get the formulas, which work perfectly. But then I have like a further requirement. So I'm now asking it to modify the formula for me. And now, as you can see, let's try it one more time. So I'll copy, come back. We will paste it. So that everyone gives us the first name. Let me delete everything. Then for the last name, okay, first let's take the middle name. For the middle name, okay, that's not the complete formula. Hold on. Copy and then come back and then paste. That gives us Kumar and Kumar. And then for the last name, It gives us Sharma. Will it work for the other names? Let's have a look. Isn't that brilliant? Only the first name, it works. Others are blank. Middle and last name, middle is blank. Middle name and multiple middle names. So if it was only one middle name, it basically works in every single case. You can't even imagine how much effort it would have taken you to build something like this. I mean, I'm sure you can agree that the formulas are, I mean, they're not like very difficult formulas, but they are very complex because while the functions they're using, most of us are familiar with it, it still requires a lot of effort to write all of this. This is what you can do here in um, uh, ChatGPT. And the best part is you can also do this in Python. So I can take an Excel formula like this and just come back to GPT and say that, can you convert my Excel formula into a Python formula? So I can just say, convert to Python, SQL, or JavaScript. So now it's so easy for you without even knowing how a language works to basically just shift one formula from one language into other languages. Brilliant, right? Great. We'll take a small pause. Any questions, anyone? Are you coming up with courses on ChatGPT? Nitesh, at the moment, there are a lot of corporate trainings that I'm doing. So I'm doing trainings with NSDC, with Diageo, with Hindalco, with Ultratech, with Credence. I'm not sure when I'll come up with a course. Honestly, I'm very confused because it keeps on getting updated so frequently. I'm not even sure if I record a course today, I'll have to change it tomorrow. But I honestly don't know. But good that you have asked me. I will seriously think about it. I think I should record a course on ChatGPT because there's so much and I can always update it later, right? So yeah, I'll definitely think about it. But yeah, nothing planned as of now. But then if I maybe get some time by the end of the month, I'll surely do it. I mean, even though there are other courses available online, so you can always have a look at those. Perfect. I think that's quite a lot for one day. Some of these things you might have already known, but I hoped there were some learnings, some new things for everybody. And, if you have any questions, you can let me know. Q, right? So remember, it's not a fad. It's not a small thing. Microsoft has invested 13 billion with a B dollars in OpenAI. So their partnership is not just about money. It's a very strong partnership. ChatGPT for them is going to be central to everything that Microsoft does going forward on Windows, on GitHub, on MS Office, on Azure, on Power BI. So it's a huge thing. It's not just a feature or a new product like 100 of other products. It is going to be supremely important to learn it, not just at a shallow level, but go very deep into it. And honestly, the only advice I can give all of you is that don't worry about so many new things happening. I know there's a lot. Sometimes I also feel overwhelmed that how will I ever manage to learn all of it? But then I tell myself, that's not the point. It's not that you want to learn everything. Just ensure that every day you're learning a little bit more. And that's how you will get better over time. Let me assure you, no course in the world, right, will ever teach you everything. It can't, right? You have to do it over a period of time and you have to be consistent, right? So just remember that the best learning will only come not from a course, but when you yourself sit with ChatGPT and you spend 2 hours just trying to figure out when does it work, when does it not work. I think that is the most important part, right? And of course, I also have a YouTube channel. I haven't posted a lot of content on ChatGPT though, but there are a lot of other videos related to Excel, PowerPoint, Power BI, Word. There's a lot of content, 800 plus videos available. So I'm going to share this on the chat window. Maybe you'll find something of use here. And I'm always available on LinkedIn. So if you have any queries whatsoever, you can let me know. There are some questions. Let me quickly answer that. Nitesh, I haven't worked on Alteryx, so I won't be able to answer. Power BI clearly is the one more in demand. That I can confidently say. Power BI is a more general tool. More companies use it. Alteryx is very hardcore specific to certain teams, and it's very costly. Can we get the PPT on our email? Saurabh, I'll send that. As in the markup.js, we got question, is there any way to generate PPT? Raghav, it can generate a PPT using the GPT-4 paid version, even though right now it's not very good at it, but there are some plugins available that can do it, some add-ons that can do it for you. And yeah, I don't think there are any other questions. Great. I just wait for a few more minutes if anybody wants to ask anything. Thank you, Ramzan.
Are you uploading this recording?
Yes, the recording for the session will be on YouTube, right? And the PowerPoint also I'll share with you. No problem with that.
Okay.
Like I said about learning codes, what other programming language should we learn? Just Python. I mean, you don't even have to bother with anything else. Just focus on one, which is Python. That's it. Thank you, Sakshi. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. I'm always available on LinkedIn. So if you have any queries, do feel free to reach out. Thank you.